Two. Today on TFB TV, we are going to absolutely dunk on plebeian CZ Scorpion owners with an extremely rare, extremely sexy, and yes, extremely expensive pistol caliber carbine, the Swiss-made B&T KH9-SD. As usual, let's start this video off with a little bit of history. Many of you remember the Sights Spectre M4. It was an Italian submachine gun made by Sights in the 80s and discontinued in the 90s. The Spectre M4 was used by the Swiss and Italian militaries as a submachine gun, as well as by the French National Police. The Spectre M4's main claim to fame that it used quad stack 50-round magazines that gave this SMG an unusually high capacity for a gun that small. And because the ammo was divided into 4 stacks in what's called a casket-style magazine, the magazine was not really taller than your average SMG magazine. It was just a little big boned. Another lesser-known feature of this gun, the operator could choose to either charge the gun and tote that son of a bitch around super hot and ready to pop, or the user could hit a little decock lever that made the first trigger pull a very long and heavy double action like a revolver. This meant that the gun was relatively safe with a trigger that needed to be deliberately pulled the first time, and follow-up shots were all going to be lighter, smoother, faster trigger pulls. Unfortunately, this excellent design was a victim of the assault weapons ban, so Sights stopped making it in the 90s. It did, however, appear in Leon the Professional and the best first-person shooter of all time, GoldenEye for N64. It was the Phantom submachine gun. Now, one of my favorite things about B&T is that these absolute madmen will resurrect excellent blowback pistol caliber carbine designs that were commercially unsuccessful. B&T has a long track record of being one of the finest manufacturers in the industry, so it's a lot easier for a company like B&T to support a niche product line and generate demand when they take a, say, defunct submachine gun design, pour some Alpine quality on it, slap a Swiss cross on the side of that son of a bitch, and now people are lining up to buy it. Take, for example, like the B&T P26, right? The P26 was basically a Swiss Tech 9. I mean, it was so wrong, but so goddamn right. A notorious, cheap gangbanger favorite invented by living legend George Kellgren, the champion of the broke-ass gun enthusiast. In 2015, the Tech 9 was revitalized by Swiss gun elves inside of a Tannenbaum with magical gingerbread CNC machines. True story, if you take a B&T P26 and hold the open action to your ear, you can hear yodeling. I'm so not making that up. B&T only imported 1,000 of these into the country, and they sold them for something like $1,000 each, I think. They were gone almost instantly. I've not seen one for sale in a long time, but now a run-of-the-mill Intratec Tech 9 can fetch $1,000 or more on Gunbroker, so P26 owners aren't letting theirs go. Beretta eventually bought the P26 from B&T, and they make a similar copy, the Beretta PMX, and George's design lives on. But that's what we have here today. The KH9 is B&T's wonderful revival of the Sights Spectre with a couple of differences. Introduced in 2015 at IWA, which is like Europe's SHOT Show, B&T initially imported 400 KH9s in the United States and sold them for, if memory serves, $2,250 in 2016 or so. Now, if you can find a KH9 on Gunbroker, it's going to set you back over $3,000 for a used one. So if you wanted a KH9 but you missed the boat the first time, here is your second chance to get it. Kind of. B&T is now importing 400 KH9-SDs in the country. SD because they have integral suppressors. It's a small, limited deal that's not even listed on B&T's website, believe it or not. The difference between the standard KH9 and the KH9-SD is that the SD predictably comes with an integral suppressor that slides over the 4.5-inch barrel. Moreover, while the original KH9 had a monolithic upper with removable pick rail sections, the SD comes with a custom M-LOK handguard that has a pick rail on top and bottom, M-LOK slots at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. The KH9-SD is also going to be a limited edition. Only 400 of those will be made. I'll hit you with the price right now. Dude, you're looking at $3,500. Plus, depending on the version you get, either one or two $200 tax stamps. One for the suppressor, and if you get what I call a factory stock or factory SBR version, you're going to need a $200 stamp for it being a short barrel rifle. So yeah, you're looking at $4 grand after your stamps, but you have to bear in mind you're getting a gun and a suppressor, and you got to pay the $400 anyways. If I had an extra $3,500 lying around to buy a second one that I could just keep in the box, I would, because I anticipate that these are going to shoot up in value once they're no longer available, just like the standard KH9 and the P26. So if you're thinking about getting one of these, you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll get the pistol version or the braced version and I'll SBR it myself and I'll do a Form 1, because that only takes like 2 weeks right now to get back from the ATF. Or you could get the factory SBR version that comes with B&T's telescoping stock, which I think is the best PCC stock out there. I'll talk more about it in a second, but that's going to take well over a year. Here's the thing. You're going to have to spend well over a year just waiting to get the paperwork back on your suppressor. So you may as well run both at the same time. So yeah, you're talking $3,500 gun, $400 in taxes, but you're getting a silencer. Plus, you got to spend another $500 if you want B&T's outstanding telescopic T-stock, but at least you get flip-up irons for free, right? And a Swiss carbine with a Swiss suppressor. Going to be a lot of Swiss cheese. Just come to terms with it. Tell your wife that B&T stands for bath and towels or something like that. And when she asks you later when the stuff from bath and towels is going to show up or where it is, just tell her you think you might have a terminal illness, and she'll forget about it for at least a little while, like a few days maybe. Worst comes to worst, she asks you again, you can always tell her you're having an affair, and you'll probably get in less trouble than saying you spent $4,000 or $5,000 on a Swiss range flex. The KH9-SD is a 9mm PCC or SMG with a 4.3-inch barrel ported similar to the MP5-SD. And similar to the MP5-SD, it seems that the short barrel and porting will actually slow down whatever you put through this gun to subsonic or near subsonic speeds. Chrono data taken from the firearm blog shows that even really hot plus P plus 115 grain ammo was coming out of the KH9-SD at just a tick over 1,100 feet per second, while subsonic rounds are coming out at less than 900 feet per second. Depending on how it's configured, it weighs 5 to 5.5 pounds, which is pretty light. That's the same weight as two steel 1911s. It's expertly machined out of 775 aluminum. Fit and finish are impeccable. The gun's a straight blowback, just like the original Spectre, and it has a top-mounted reciprocating charging handle. It comes with a super new and super weird-looking B&T 9mm reduced back pressure suppressor. This is the new 9mm version of B&T's reduced back pressure suppressor line, previously only available for centerfire rifle platforms. As you can see here, it's slim on the portion of the body that runs under the M-LOK handguard, and then there's a larger diameter portion that extends past the handguard to give it a little bit extra internal volume. You'll see shortly that this design is extremely effective. In its standard configuration, the KH9 runs the ultra-reliable 30-round MP9 magazines like many of B&T's PCCs. But another super unique feature of this gun that's really cool, get ready for it, is that it also accepts 50-round Suomi coffin mags and 71-round Suomi drums. This makes a lot of sense for the Swiss because Suomi SMGs were produced in Switzerland under license as the MP42 or MP43, so there's a supply of magazines available in the region. Now, one extremely fucking cool thing about this, it accepts Suomi 50-round quad stack coffin mags. All you have to do, you just change the mag block out from the MP9 pattern to a Suomi coffin mag with a paddle mag release. Check it. Oh yeah, and it also takes Suomi drums. You have to install an adapter for it to accept the Suomi mags, and I think that's an extra $50. MP9 magazines will set you back $40 or $50 each, which is not bad compared to like MP5 or MPX magazines, which are $70 or more. Plus, the translucent mag material just looks pretty sick. I picked up 2 decent Suomi coffin mags for 150 bucks each and a 71 round drum that was like new for $100. I'll tell you more about it in a sec, but I think the coffin mags are worth the extra spend over the drums, and that's the route I would go. It uses super comfy SIG 550 style pistol grips, and you see that little lever on the receiver? It has to be a safety, right? Actually, incorrect. It's a decocker, just like we were talking about with the Spectre. Oversimplified, this gun gives you double action or single action for your first shot, just like the Spectre did. In lieu of a safety, you charge the gun, and at that point you have, call it, a single action trigger pull. All of your follow-up shots, on the other hand, will be shorter and lighter 3-pound single action presses. It's another neat and unique feature of this one-of-a-kind gun. The trigger will definitely evoke mixed reactions just because of the unusual operating system that this gun employs and the longish reset that it has. But I think the trigger pull is comparable to an MP5, almost identical, when the KH9 is in single action, that is. If you have any experience with the MP5, you might understand, fellow aristocrat. So the trigger's smooth, it's lighter than 3 pounds in single action, but unlike the MP5, the KH9 has no safety. Clearly, a 3-pound trigger pull with no safety is less than optimal. However, they've got the clever safety option borrowed from the Spectre. Simply smash the decocker. As far as furniture goes, we already talked about the great M-LOK handguard made especially for this gun. The grip assembly, again, was borrowed from the SIG 550 series. I got the factory SBR version, as I mentioned, that comes with B&T's trademark T-style telescoping stock. It firmly locks into place, and it takes up almost no space at all at the rear of the gun. I mean, it is almost flush fit, but it deploys easily after you depress a large trigger conveniently placed at the rear of the stock. So you grab a fistful of butt stock, mash that deployment trigger. At that point, you pull it out to the length that you want from the several adjustable notches. The stock's robust, it's steel, it's well made, and it's very compact. And it happens to be one of my most favorite pieces of gun furniture on the market, period. You can also get this exact style of stock for several other B&Ts and even some HK submachine guns, although be prepared to shell out over $500 or more for one. Depending on how you order these, the KH9-SD that is, they come either with an end cap, a brace, or the stock kit. The back end cap of the pistol version of the KH9-SD will have the telescopic rail back end to accept the KH9 stock or the brace kit. I don't know specific pricing or availability for each variation. Again, these are brand new and there's so few of them. But how did it do at the range? Flatly put, this is one of the quietest suppressed firearms I've ever shot. Myself and Rusty, one of the editors of the firearm blog, we both own the KH9-SD personally, and we're both in general agreement that this is right up there with an MP5-SD in terms of suppression. Unfortunately, my shooting footage was all taken indoors at the Jefferson Gun Outlet just outside of New Orleans, so of course it's a fantastic range, but as with any indoor range, it doesn't necessarily lend itself to suppressed shooting. Fortunately, my man Rusty came through with some footage of the KH9 shooting outdoors, shot it on his GoPro. Check that out for just a second. As I said, the trigger is very MP5-like. It's not going to blow anyone away, and it's not going to give you like lightning fast split times, but it's perfectly shootable. I used a Holosun 509T on an 80 MQD mount, and I had MP5K-like accuracy with relatively rapid fire shooting. The straight blowback recoil impulse from this lightweight SMG is not as pleasant as delayed blowback guns, which also tend to be much heavier. But I didn't really notice it, and if there's something positive you want to say about a gun's recoil impulse, I did not really notice it is probably a good thing. But the KH9-SD isn't exactly a match gun. The real hook here is how light, how compact, and how quiet this gun is, and it's just so fucking cool. Devin of the Two Shots In podcast on YouTube, he got to shoot it, and I was afraid to take the gun away from him after he got done with it. I couldn't tell if he was having a religious or a sexual experience, but I kept my distance just in case.
It's a badass safety mechanism too.
There's no safety. It's a decocker.
What?
Yeah, but what it does is it makes it double action. So when you decock it, it becomes double action. So there's no true safety on it.
Man, I like this.
Yeah, me too, dude.
Man, that's fucking cool. I like that.
Yeah. The MP9 mag compatibility is of course awesome, especially if you have a B&T SMG already. But the Suomi mag conversion is just absolute tits. Devin installed it for us at Jefferson Gun. We broke out the classic mags and drums. Having 51 rounds on board a gun that has the same two-dimensional profile as just about any other compact SMG is like a cheat code. The Suomi coffin mags work perfectly. The paddle mag release is ample on that conversion kit. It's really easy to get to and reach and deploy. The mags are definitely the way to go. They're low profile, they're reliable, they're easy to use, monster capacity in a small package. Now the drums are indeed cool, 71 rounds, right? But they're more finicky and they're a little bit trickier to insert and seat properly. God damn it. I had it. God damn it, dude. I had it in there. You're still rolling it. You son of a bitch. You think you landed the drum in there, right, when you're loading it, and you'll have some sort of failure that's remedied only by reinserting and re-indexing the drum. I think that the weight and the size of the drum is a bit of a problem, and the weight and the size of the coffin mag is preferable to the bulky and less reliable 71 round drum. So even though the drums are cheaper and greater capacity, I'd probably devote more attention to the magazines. Bear in mind the supply is starting to dry up in the United States for these mags, so you're going to have to shell out at least $150 for a good one. The reduced back pressure suppressor design is great, keeps you from getting gassed out, but I'll be honest with you, after I cranked off an entire 71 round drum as fast as I could fire, I did get gassed out. God, I just got gassed out. Oh my God. Keep the change, you filthy animal. I guess being married has taken its toll, and the strong immunity I developed as a single man to inflammatory chemicals being violently shot into my eyes has since worn off. The moral of the story here is, 1, surprising women who are walking alone late at night is not as funny to them as it is to you. And 2, normal use is no problem, but if you plan on peeling off damn near 2 boxes of ammo through the SD as fast as you possibly can, you might get some gas blowback depending on the ammo you're using. Speaking of ammo, we use several different types of ammo from 115 all the way up to 150 grain. As usual, I did not clean or lube the gun from the factory, and it was bone dry when I got it. After I had 1, maybe 2 failures, we just lubed up the KH9-SD per the manual, and it ran flawlessly with all ammo types and weights, which is what you want to see with an integrally suppressed gun like this one. In conclusion, yes, this is a very, 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 very pricey gun, but I think there are plenty of reasons to at least consider the KH9-SD. First, integrally suppressed European SMGs aren't exactly available at Academy. This is an uncommon platform for a connoisseur, a collector, or an operator, or someone who just wants a shooting experience that's different from everything else that's in their safe. On top of that, there's only 400 of these out there right now, and if history is any indicator, they will go up in value in a very short period of time, like in the next year. Simple as that. Other than the collectability, this is a reliable and well-made firearm that probably ranks up there with the MP5-SD in terms of performance. I didn't consider them back-to-back, but my experience with the SD, or the MP5-SD, and the KH9-SD both led to that same, oh shit, that is really quiet reaction. And it's funny to talk about this gun from a practicality standpoint, like using it as a tool, because I very seriously doubt that, at least in the USA, there are going to be any LE, military, or security units using one of these collectible guns, but if there were, they'd appreciate how compact and quiet they are, and that you've got 50 to 70 rounds on deck if you want to use the Suomi mags. This is definitely one of the coolest guns that I've reviewed this year for TFB TV, if not ever on TFB TV, and if you can even find one at this point, I'd say it's worth the splurge and the wait, but we'll see if that proves true down the road. Let's hope this video ages well. Guys, thanks a ton as usual for watching. I can't express enough appreciation for you guys. We're here because of you. I can't express enough appreciation for our Patreon and our Subscribe-Star supporters. If you can, make sure to support us on Patreon or Subscribe-Star. That money doesn't go to me, it goes to everyone at TFB. It helps pay the Firearm blog and TFB TV. Plus, if you're at the $5 or the $10 level, you're automatically entered to win a free gun. We actually give away 4 guns every single month. So go ahead, sign up, support us, and hell, maybe you'll win something. Plus, we put some fun exclusive content on there. But we couldn't do it without Ventura Munitions, who sent all the ammo we used in this video, or without the support of Top Gun Supply, your online shooting sports superstore. Those are the guys that supply the guns for the giveaway. But again, couldn't do it without you. I love you. Take care.